What's up guys, it's Jake Lewis and we're back with another mixing video. Today we've got Escape Your Trap by Jinx. Let's jump right into it. First things first, as always, let's listen to some of the song.
And all you do is just stay fucking stagnant. You don't make it hard to tell. So now running far away.
First thing I want to go into is the bass here. Let's listen to that real quick. So with this bass, what I was originally given was this. As you can tell, it's decently fat, but it doesn't have any of that top end that it has like in the mix after I play with it. EQ, roll off some low end just to tighten things up a little bit, dig out some spots over here where I felt like things were just poking out. This is HEATWAVE by SLATE. This plugin's pretty sweet. It's a saturator, and you just crank up the drive, kind of see what it does. Let's just crank it. This plugin's pretty sweet. I do use it on bass a lot. It adds a lot of aggression, as you could hear, especially in like the upper mids, but it still keeps like the body, the low end of the bass. And then I ran into SPECTRE by Waves Factory. This plugin is a go-to for adding saturation. And the cool thing about SPECTRE is that it does it in an EQ fashion. So what you do is you kind of boost up where you want specific saturation to take place, and you can choose different settings down here. There's so many different kinds. Personally, I was going with warm a lot because it adds a very subtle saturation that isn't too aggressive. Now, obviously, a lot of that is just volume. When things are louder, they sound better, but this is adding a lot of grit and a lot of forwardness that the bass really needed. And we got one more EQ. Ducked it out, used the Pro Q dynamic band feature, which is super useful. I think that's where it happens. When the note slides up, there's just a little bit too much boominess going on here, so I took that out. So now let's get into the parallel here. I slammed it through the 1176. Fast attack, fast release, so it's super grabby and aggressive. And then this is where the magic happens, all right? Let's play before and after with this parallel here. You know what I'm saying? What I did here was I used Bermuda Triangle, which is a universal audio plugin. This is what completely changed the tone. That's where you get that electric strumming. Oh, dude, it sounds so good. And then we roll into an EQ, just rolling off a lot of the low end, because what I'm looking for here is to add this Haas effect and do it with the high end. Essentially, one side of the stereo field is delayed. So you delay the right from the left or left from the right, and it gives the illusion of it sounding wider. You should be able to hear that, especially if you got headphones on or some good speakers set up. Now, the next thing we got are the drums. The producer sent me the kick and snare together, so I wasn't able to manipulate the kick and snare separately. Kind of had to work with what I got. The biggest trick I did here with the kick and snare was use a transient shaper. In this case, I used the SLATE transient shaper. I think it's great because it has sidechain filters that you can use, which is super useful in cases like this, where maybe you just want to change the sustain or the transient shape of the kick versus only doing it with the snare. This gives you that ability. In this case, I just use it on the whole thing. So on the verses and the intro, I actually decreased the sustain, which made the drums sound tighter. So let me show you what I mean. If you're having trouble hearing it, what you're listening for is like, especially on that kick, it's the tail of the kick and kind of the ambience of the room that it was recorded in. It actually shrinks so it feels tighter. Listen one more time. So this is before. Much shorter. And then what I did on the hook, because I wanted the hook to sound a little bit bigger and a little bit fatter, is I actually did the opposite. And I increased the sustain. The kick feels elongated and the tail of the snare is much longer too. I had a challenge here because when I play without the plugins, the drums sound that the phase is all weird. Play it. Like nothing feels up the center. So what I did was I actually used the SSL 4K. It has a width knob on it. This is what saved the drums in my opinion. I decreased the width to 20%. It's pretty wild how wide those drums came in to us, but this helped save it a little bit, and then I could control how wide I wanted the drums to feel. Bumped up 7 dB, 7 kilohertz, took a little bit away at the mid-range, 1.2K, and then bumped a little bit at the low end. And this is where I really got the wideness back. I used the stereo image by SSL, and this is what really gave the width on the overall drums. And then on the hook, I wanted some more fatness. So what I did, took out each kick, copied it, duplicated it down, and then I ran it through some stuff here. SLATE recently came out with their own PULTEC, which I used on this one. Then I ran it through some magma tubes. DBX 160, shaping EQ, before and after. And then we got the parallel compression on the drums, running it through the DBX 160 and then the PULTEC. And that just brings the drums forward a little bit more. And I really wanted that on the hook. Comes alive. That's a big boost. I want the guitar to be aggressive. I want it to stick out. I don't want it to be hiding behind any other elements in the mix. Then I took out a little low mids and did a bump around 400 hertz. The low end is where you get the feel of the guitars. It's kind of like with vocals. If you take off all the low end and you only have, upper mids and top end, it's just gonna sound annoying and you won't want to listen to it. Added a lot of top end once again, took out some mids, took out some lower mids, and then boosted a lot at the low end. Another vital component to the song here. A plugin that's great if you want to add grit and you want to be able to really control it is BERZERK Distortion. This is by Waves. Yeah, that dirties it up and adds a lot of texture to the upper mids, and especially the top end too. And then we got one of my favorite plugins. This is my go-to if I want to add some vibey waviness to something, is MICROSHIFT by SOUNDTOYS. Boom. And that's all the production as far as the beat goes.
So now running on, running far away. I can back to you. Love strings attached, just cut me free. I get so lost in you.
So her vocal register is pretty high, especially here on this hook. To maintain that body and that low end in her voice that I love in all vocals, I boosted around 700 hertz. Then I took out a little bit of 3K because there's just a little bit too much going on up there.
I don't want you to catch me and I can't escape your trap. And everything you said, it's got my heart in state.
We gotta dive into this. The T-Rack Saturator S. I love this saturator, and I specifically love tape 1 and tape 2, depending on the kind of EQ curve you wanna go for and feeling you wanna go for. So generally tape 1, it kind of distorts the upper mids in a cool way and gives the perception of it taking away low end. And then tape 2 maintains that low end and gives a lot of grit. For her, I actually wanted to distort her upper mids a little bit, so that's why I ran with tape 1.
So now running on, running far away. I don't want you to catch me and I can't escape your trap.
Hear how without this, the vocal sounds so clean, and then with it, it just completely changes the grittiness of it.
So now running on, running far away. I don't want you to catch me and I can't escape your thing. You said it's got my heart in state. Subconscious kinda likes it, so I keep.
This right here added so much body to her voice. The trick is adding a boost at 100 hertz and then attenuating however much you see fit.
You said it's got my heart in state. Subconscious kinda likes it, so I keep on running back.
The PUIGCHILD 670 is controlling her vocal so much. I'm running her through the J37.
So now running on, running far away. I don't want you to catch me and I can't escape your.
If you run a sound source into the red or kind of close to the red near 0, you're gonna really get the character of this tape machine.
So now I'm running, no, I'm running far away. I don't, and everything you said, it's got my heart in state. So come on, running back and back and back to you.
For backings that I really want to be tucked in the back, I'll take the TUBETECH because I love this compressor for shaping. To tuck a vocal back, we want a fast attack and a slow release. So it's kind of like this, and that's kind of like how the vocal feels. It feels like it's back like this, you know?
So now I'm running, but I'm running far away. I don't want you to catch me, and I can't escape your trap. And everything like when you were distant.
You'll notice I EQ'd it differently because her tone was a lot lower, so things just needed to be approached in a different way. I think in the hook, we had reduced 2 dB at 3K. This time we're reducing at 1.5K. Her voice is in a lower register. It felt like 1.5 was a little more pokey. And then we took out 500. We're not doing the 700 boost here. And then we're taking out some at 200.
Like when you were distant, and I thought that she was low.
Different approach to the EQ once again. Pretty similar settings on the PULTEC. And those minor EQ moves that are different really set the stage and set apart the verse or intro from the hook or whatever, like a bridge. It's important to do, especially when there's a tonal change. If there's no tonal change, you can get away with not doing it, but it really depends on how you want things to feel. All right, now let's see how we address this section. Additional de-essing because the vocal is so low and breathy and S-y that I want to put a little more emphasis on those S's. You can see how the intro verse has a completely different EQ settings from the hook, and how both of those have completely different EQ settings from this part of the verse. So we're taking away some at 2.5, some at 1.5, some at 500, and some at 300. To maintain aggression with these whispery, quiet vocals, I went with the 76 Bluey edition. And again, to make the vocal feel a little bit more alive and aggressive, I used the time constant 1 on the PUIGCHILD 670. And this is a fast attack, fast release, so it's very grabby on everything and makes it sound more aggressive. And for this, super simple. Just a doubler, take out the mids, bump the left and right to unity, and it's cool. Right here, took away a lot of the upper mids and then just compressed it. Boom. All right, now we can get into some of the effects, delays, reverbs. See what I was doing. Delay first. This is a go-to delay plugin. It's like an all-in-one, one-stop shop for all the built-in effects you need for a delay. This is the MANNY M delay. So what I did here was I actually unlinked the left and right so that I could set the left to a quarter note delay and the right to a half note delay. So it gives the illusion that the vocal is bouncing from speaker to speaker and then falling back. There's a high pass and a low pass knob built into the plugins. And then there's reverb, distortion, a doubler, and a phaser built in. So you can get some really cool combinations. You can customize some of the parameters for each effect too. Like for example, the phaser, you can change the rate, doubler, the detune, distortion, the width, and how aggressive you want the send to be, and the verb size, and without the built-in effects.
Thought that she was low. Thought that she was low.
Yeah, that makes it so floaty. Yeah, playing with these effects is good. If you don't have this delay, get it. It's really good. And it's really efficient when you're in sessions too, when an artist is just expecting something to sound good off rip. You just load up that plugin or have it already loaded and just turn these on, play with the knobs, give it 30 seconds and you can get like a rough vibe of what you're going for. And then on the For You, we have a custom reverb going on using the VERBSUITE Classic. This is a SLATE reverb. Looks like I went with the Vocal Heaven preset and then just kind of customized it to my taste. We get a ton of depth from this. By setting this to 1/16th or something like super quick like that, playing with the high pass, low pass, and phase inversion, you can get some really cool effects. And now we go through the master chain. Let me disable everything and we'll go through one by one. Boom. And that's the mix for Escape Your Trap by Jinx. If you like the song and you want to support her, all links will be in the description. If you have any suggestions or questions or feedback on the video, just comment down below. I get back to everyone's comments, and I'd appreciate any video ideas if you have any. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out of here. Deuces.